Srini, how are you?
Good. I'm doing great.
Good to hear. So, Srini, so tell me about yourself. What is the role in your current company and what are your day-to-day activities?
So I'm working for Zoom in the channels department. My focus is on global system integrators. So the idea is that we work with large solution partners, integrators who can take Zoom's platform messaging end to end with their customers. So right from the licensing to the planning, design, implementation, testing, training, cutover, managed services, vertical solutions, application development. We know that the channels community is a force multiplier. So we want to bring their capabilities and add on top of our platform. So my job is to make sure that I can be sort of the technical evangelist for Zoom solutions with our partners, allow them to understand how they can take our platform messaging to their customers to add business value, and sort of be there along for the whole journey with them, right? As we add new applications to the portfolio, train, enable them, and ensure they can be successful in front of their customers. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, it seems too much, I think it's a lot of engagement that you have with the internal team, external people, pushing out the Zoom message, because Zoom itself is innovating at a you know so many features are coming out, and then obviously, so it seems to be very engaging. Ron, how do you manage your I think the personal life with so much work that you anyways do?
I don't think I have a personal life, but no, just kidding. I think first of all, if you don't enjoy your job, it's very hard to do a role like this because, as you said, it can be challenging and rewarding at the same time because when you're working with a partner, they obviously have a lot of choices. They can sell a lot of our vendors in the UCaaS and CCaaS space, and so as you rightfully said, right, my job is sort of to put you in the middle of multiple organizations. We have product and R&D. We have you guys sitting in the center. You have customers, but then you also have Zoom sellers. So my job is to sort of be like a glue between all of these different departments and organizations to figure out how best to promote the Zoom messaging and also your messaging as a partner with our Zoom sellers. So yes, it can be quite challenging at times. The other thing that I say to myself, and I'm dating myself here, I've been in this industry for almost 25 years now, and cloud has just made the speed of innovation so much faster. So it almost feels like even if you take a break for a few hours, you miss out on some feature that some person has come up with, whether it is Zoom or a competitor. So you're right; it's a very tough act to balance personal life and work life, and I think the speed of innovation has made it worse. But as they always say, AI is going to fix everything. So my hope is that AI will do the job and one day help me balance my lives. But,
Hopefully.
hopefully.
Let's hope for the best. So Srini, I mean, with your 25 years of experience and especially in this space, what are the potential market trends you are seeing in the market today, and what will happen? What do you think will happen in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I remember Eric Yuan's message during Zoomtopia when he started off by a slide that's saying, can you predict the future? And he rightfully said, we have to be humble enough to say that in our industry, whoever says that they can predict even 2 to 3 years from now, right, can be mistaken because the future is now. We only know what is today. We can all make some, theories about where this is all going, but AI, cloud, all has shown that when market disruption happens, it just catches you off guard, and you just have to go with the flow. But your question is very important, and the reason is because in my last 25 years, I've seen voice, video communications evolve and change dramatically. So I remember being this very old networking guy, setting up routers and switches. And all of a sudden, when somebody said, let's put voice calls on the network, that was the first generation of voice over IP. And at that time, it was just looked at as cost savings and toll bypass. The idea was that if you could converge your voice network with your data network, you could save some money and so on and so forth. So the messaging was powerful, but it was very simple. But from those days, all of a sudden, we started using words like communications and collaboration. And the reason is because the industry started moving past dial tone and voicemail and these basic, what I like to call telephony features, into more of messaging and productivity and human interaction and collaboration, right? And so this is where, whether you look at vendors such as Cisco or Microsoft and many others who came in this space, started to evolve beyond just taking your voice packet and putting it on a data network to actually seeing how people communicate, right? But even then, the industry was still very fragmented. There were folks that were only selling telephone systems. There were folks that were selling contact center systems. There were folks that were selling collaboration systems. And then what the industry figured out is that we have a word in this industry, it's called unified communications, but we were not doing justice to unifying anything at all. People still used to use one tool for messaging, and then they decided to use another tool for the telephone, another tool for contact center. And so most people, after deploying a system, would come back and complain to the vendors and to partners and say, what you promised never got delivered, because you said that we were going to unify, we would have to have a single pane of glass, all the end users would find it easy, but we're still going from place to place, to portal to portal to portal. Yeah. So I think what I've now seen in this industry is we're finally coming to, and then to make matters even more confusing, we even started to put things like internet portals inside of communications. Yeah. And so this industry, what I've seen is just evolve so fast, quickly, and absorb other applications. And so we're now at and then cloud came along and accelerated the R&D and investment even further. And then AI came along. So for me, what's most exciting about this phase in the journey is that we're moving at a very fast pace from on-premise to cloud. Number two is we want one application to sort of unify all these different modalities of communication, chat, voice, video, contact center, engagement, interaction, into one pane of glass. And I think whichever vendor is going to solve that problem with a simple, easy to use interface is going to win the next 15, 20 years of this journey.
Right. No, I agree with you, because in my own experience, I have seen customers using multiple applications, God knows why, where you have one application that can do everything, and then they have so much complexities and so many things are happening. And then obviously when you deploy a lot of on-prem stuff, the sustainability piece comes in. Then is the equipment sustainable? Can you have good practices of recycling and all that? With cloud, I am sure there are better ways to manage the hardware as well. Yeah, I think it's a good insight that you have given, especially around how the background and then what we want to do now. So I mean, and this would be a good question to ask now, because you work for Zoom. So I would, and I think everybody knows what Zoom is up to now, and the pace of innovation that Zoom has seen before COVID and during COVID, and especially now with the unified platform for everything. If you can just take 2 minutes and describe the company, what are the vision, what are the solutions that you're offering with recently WorkVivo that's come in as well.
Yeah. Definitely. So I think Zoom is going through a massive evolution itself in the last couple of years. And I feel like Zoom has lived the lifespan of some companies in 3 to 4 years that many others might take 10 to 15 years, right? And so it's been a learning, it's been a journey for us to learn. And I think hopefully through this podcast, some of our customers and partners can see how much we have evolved too. So obviously we started as a killer meetings app, and everybody knows that for us from a brand name perspective. Yeah. Our mission statement was very simple, right? We wanted to have limitless human connections. We wanted to make it easy for people to communicate and collaborate. And meetings was obviously the easiest place to show that. But as time has evolved, we realized that it's more than meetings, right? As I said, there is phone calls, there is contact center. Our latest acquisitions, such as WorkVivo, which is all into employee engagement, recognition, frontline workers. We realized that, I always joke, right? You and I sit in front of our computers all day long as knowledge workers, and we take technology for granted. But there's a lot of people in this industry, in retail, manufacturing, and healthcare, that I still believe that unified communications has not done justice because they're disjointed. They're disconnected from the corporate office, right? And the other thing is mobile. I still believe that unified communications has still not figured out how to unlock the true potential of mobile. Everybody has built a mobile app, but we still haven't made it easy for that frontline worker. So what Zoom is on a journey right now is to basically be the core engine for communications and collaboration, which is chat, messaging, phone, contact center, and so on. But then we're also building other ancillary platforms on top of that, such as WorkVivo. We have a product called Zoom Revenue Intelligence, which is meant for sales workforce. But the last thing is we have a very robust system of SDKs and APIs where we believe that building applications on top of Zoom is going to unlock the potential. And this is key because back to my previous message about journey, 15, 20 years back, we were talking about telephones. Yeah. The next generation is all going to be line of business apps. So whether it is healthcare, whether it is retail, whether it is manufacturing, people are going to want to live in their app, not maybe inside of Zoom. Yeah. Sometimes they'll be inside of Zoom. But the idea is that you stay in your app and you still unlock all the potential that Zoom has to offer from a communications perspective inside of that app. And I believe that our SDKs and APIs is allowing us to already develop thousands of apps for healthcare, for retail, for manufacturing using our APIs. So we are basically going across vertical scenarios, horizontal scenarios, across communications collaboration, across phone contact center meetings, across sales use cases. We are also into mail and calendar. Yes, we have our own mail and calendar service also. And finally, when we put AI on top of all of that, the reason why this is the next frontier is because when people used to talk about communications and saying unified communications, everybody now says kind of something similar. We put everything in one portal. We put everything in one client. Yeah. But I've always believed that what we have done is put an overdose of information in front now of the customer. We have too many chat channels, too many messages, too many notifications now coming. So what is important to my job is not important to somebody else. And what we're doing in our journey with AI Companion, which by the way, we're including at no cost in all of our licensing, which is a game changer, is we are trying to figure out how to unlock and unleash the human productivity. So if Ronak wants to see the most important messages, the most important documents, the most important meetings, extract the intelligence out of that, how do I push that in front of him so that his work is not about the work, but actually helping his customers? So
I think I would say there are two things. I would just because I myself use Zoom for these podcast recordings, and I have myself have enabled AI summary and AI companion right now. So it helps me build show notes after the show. So I don't have to think about what you said and repeat, see the recording again and again, because I have the summary notes already printed for me. And an AI companion obviously can help in getting me this meeting summary or whatever. There are so many use cases. And second thing, you spoke about SDK. So I recently saw Zoom working with Twilio now. Twilio are ending their own SDKs and using Zoom SDKs. So maybe if you can talk about that for a second, and that will be very
absolutely. So we have a wonderful white paper that we can share during the podcast that will give you actually a third-party company that analyzed our video SDK performance with some of our competitors in this space, such as Agora, Chime, and so on. And Zoom's SDK for video came out #1 in both quality of performance, latency issues, handling packet loss, and so on and so forth. What is happening is Twilio is going to be moving away from their video routing engine. They're going to still have other parts of their communication platform as a service, but when it specifically comes to video, that is not what they are involved in from a core company perspective. So they're going to be strongly recommending to their customers before the end of life, which is December 31st, 2024. So that's about a year from now, that customers can migrate their apps that have been built on their video engine over to Zoom. So this is a strategic partnership between two very great companies. And it's also a testament to the fact that our video routing engine has been proven to work very well in all of those conditions that I just mentioned. So that's what's happening, is that customers can now develop their line of business apps on our video SDK. It's basically taking the best of what Zoom has to provide, which is our core video capabilities, and putting that engine in your third-party app. To think of a retail app, healthcare app, even a fitness app, learning app. There are folks that are developing line of business apps who are good at what they do, but they don't want to deal with the problems of video. And video is a very tough problem to solve because it is very susceptible to packet loss, jitter, and bandwidth issues. So let a company that is an expert on video do what it does best, which is handling real-time communications, and let the line of business application developer focus on their application and bring the best together. So that's what's going to happen is we've actually developed migration guides. We will share those links also with you, where you can take the Twilio apps and move it over to a Zoom's video or a meeting SDK.
Yeah, I found that announcement very strategic and very, I think, forward-looking as well, because it's Twilio, they themselves are a video. I mean, they do video as well, and they're using Zoom for video is a massive statement stating that Zoom is a leader in this space. They would not do that with Microsoft, because you know what will happen there. But I think it's very insightful, Srini. So I think just what I would want to understand is, because you have a very challenging role, also, keeping yourself updated with the industry, keeping yourself updated within Zoom, because so many innovations are happening within Zoom, talking to different partners, explaining them, working with customers, so many things you're doing. What are some typical challenges you face in your day-to-day life, and how do you solve that? And how does Zoom solution helps you solve those challenges in your own life?
So as challenges, you mean like, for example, when trying to educate my partners, or?
Yeah, I mean, in your job, what are the typical challenges that you solve? I think, and if you, maybe if that is one aspect to the question, second aspect is, what are the typical challenges Zoom as a product helps to solve? For example, being a telehealth app for some hospital or something like that. So I think the question is related to these two things.
Yeah, I think I see during my day-to-day life a varied set of customers and challenges coming to us. So a lot of the times, customers are just, there's one kind of a simple one, which is a migration challenge. A lot of the customers today, which have on-premise systems, and there's still a lot of them, is that they are looking at migrating to the cloud, and they want to make sure that the vendor they choose is going to be future-proof for the next several years. They have to make sure that it's easy to use, simple to manage and maintain. Customers have gotten tired of upgrading their on-premise systems, paying lots of dollars for patches, firmware upgrades, and being promised features that have not happened. And so when they've seen our pace of innovation with Zoom Phone, Zoom Contact Center, for example, with Zoom Contact Center, even though we've been in the market for about a year and a half, we've already released over 700 plus features in just about a year and a half.
Wow.
And closed over 700 plus customers. With Zoom Phone, 7 million plus seats. So customers are looking at that, and they're saying that we have confidence in your brand as a meetings company. And I always say this, right? If you solve for the toughest problem in the world, which is video, every other modality of communication is easier because it takes less bandwidth, has less problems on the network. And video is the toughest problem to solve. Now, during COVID, there was a staggering statistic that Zoom meetings actually handled more than 300 million meeting daily participants and trillions of audio minutes. So what that means is, if your cloud is elastic and scalable during the most toughest conditions that you can put at it, anytime after that, you're going to be able to handle. So because our phone and our contact center platforms are built on top of the core meetings platform, that scalability, elasticity, that is already built in. The other thing is, I've seen in this industry, the challenges that customers have gone through, they often deal with vendors who have grown through acquisitions. So they keep buying companies, they keep putting companies together. But what happens in that place is that if you don't merge the admin portal, you don't merge the user portal, you almost put like a Band-Aid. Customers can see that. Customers see feature A works here, but feature B doesn't work here. And by the time you integrate those two companies, you've already lost market share to somebody else. So you buy another one and another one. And so this problem keeps growing and growing and growing. In fact, I call it the problem of multiple clouds, because we have some competitors who basically have cloud number one, cloud number two, cloud number three. And while some people will say that gives choices to customers, what it actually does is causes confusion, because feature A doesn't work in cloud one and feature B works in cloud two. Zoom has one cloud. So we are a cloud native, born in the cloud first company, solving the challenges that the user interface, the admin interface is homogeneous, simple, and unified. So people don't get different features, right? But the other way we are different is that there are certain companies who are completely on-premise and who are completely in the cloud. But we still believe that there is something called as a hybrid approach. And what I mean by that is, there are certain customers who are very conservative when it comes to cloud. They feel like if their internet goes down or the bandwidth isn't great, what is going to happen? So we have an amazing set of products called Zoom Node, which allows us to move certain workloads on premise to provide security, bandwidth reduction, disaster recovery, survivability. That is very important in sectors such as healthcare, state, local government, and education. And we believe that it's not a cloud-only approach. We're born in the cloud, but we want to give our customers the flexibility of on-premise. So we have that too. So I think these are some of the things that we have heard from our customers is the pain of migrating to the cloud, the pain of managing a system, the innovation with features, the survivability and the hybrid approach. And then finally, as you said, we have integrations with Epic. We have integrations with Cerner. We have integrations with all the top LMS vendors, such as Blackboard and so on. So customers are saying, bring your apps to us rather than the other way around. And again, using our SDKs and APIs, we can do that too. So this is the kind of challenges or questions that I usually have seen customers bring to us. And this is where I think partners like yourself are critical, because you guys understand the customer's environment and the on-premise environment really well and can chart that migration to the cloud.
Yeah. No, it is. I sometimes get overwhelmed with so many things happening around, because even when you were speaking, because you're such a knowledgeable person, been in the industry for so long, and I have little experience here. Sometimes these challenges, especially around mergers and acquisitions, becomes very difficult to manage. And with Zoom's proposition, the capability, feature sets, it's easy, but sometimes customers are bought into that Microsoft mindset or a Cisco mindset or something like that, and they don't see the value of Zoom or the vertical use cases or whatever that is. So I mean, if I ask you, like, how do you differentiate Zoom as with competitors, if you want to touch on that?
I think with every competitor, the talk track is going to be different, but at a very high level, right? First and foremost, we start off with a couple of different ways. Number one is, if you look at the IT persona, they are mostly worried about at the customer side is, like I said, managing, maintaining, and having ease of use. They want their lives to be easy. They don't want their lives to get tougher at 2:00 in the morning to get that call to support or upgrade. So when we show the demo of our admin portal, what we find is customers love that single pane of glass. They have gotten very tired of having one portal for managing a phone system, one portal for managing a contact center system, one portal for managing a quality management system, one portal for managing their rooms, so on and so forth. So that's number one. So when we show our Zoom admin portal in our demo, the number of clicks, we have industry white papers from people like Forrester and Metrigy that also shows how many savings we have provided to customers from an end user training perspective and so on. So we make IT jobs easy to roll out new technologies. You don't need specialized skill sets. You don't have to go through 10-day training classes, right? And especially in sometimes mass market and commercial customers, they might have only one or two IT people that have to learn multiple technologies. So we want to make their jobs easier. The second thing is Zoom is a software company, what that means is we want to give diversity of choices from a hardware perspective. So again, I don't want to name specific competitors, but there are certain competitors who say, you have to buy everything from us, so it's my way or the highway. And what I've always felt is we believe in the best of breed strategy. So by giving choices from a hardware perspective, whether it is phones, whether it is for rooms and so on, what we're telling our customers is that we don't want to handicap you from the choices that you have from our partners. So tomorrow, if there's a hardware partner that innovates better with Zoom, you can choose them. And if they fall behind, another partner innovates better, you can choose them. But if you lock them into your hardware and your software, what you're telling your customers is, if I don't innovate fast enough with my hardware, you have no choice. You have to stick with me. But we don't do that. So that messaging has also resonated very well. It also helps drive down the cost of hardware, because when you have multiple vendors bidding for your business, you can mix and match with different hardware vendors. The third thing is total cost of ownership. I've been in this industry and I've seen the evolution of licensing. I've dealt with 25 years of selling licenses across Cisco, Microsoft, Zoom, and so on. And of course, if you and I sit here for a licensing masterclass, it could be for 8 hours.
I know.
Exactly. And I don't think we want to do that on a Friday afternoon.
No.
However, what I find very refreshing about Zoom, and I can say this with honest experience here, is that find out the vendors who don't nickel and dime you. And what I mean by that is
Yeah.
for every feature, for every license, for every session. And this is where it gets very, very complicated, right? When you peel open the layers of the onion, as they say, people often look at a bill of materials, but they don't truly understand that there are maintenance costs, management costs, and also renewal costs, and so on and so forth. For example, as I said before, we are the only vendor that is including AI in every aspect, whether it is in meetings, phone, chat, whiteboard, and so on, at no cost. Nobody is doing that. Now, there are certain vendors that are charging a very hefty license, $30 per month or more. And the reason why they're doing that is because sometimes they're tied into one AI vendor who they have to work with. Versus with our federated approach, we use Zoom's LLM models, we use OpenAI's models, we use Anthropic models, and we use the best in the best models to provide the best experience for our customers, but we want to make sure it's the best cost for our customers. And so simple things like including SMS or unlimited call recording with Zoom Phone, or video voicemail. The point I want to make over here is that we've seen customers getting charged for usage fees, for E911 fees. So I always challenge our customers and to say is that dig deeper, find out all the hidden costs that are there with your unified communications vendor, look at the total cost of ownership, day 0, day 1, day 2, management costs, support costs, and licensing costs, and look at the difference. I'll leave you with this one thought. We have a phenomenal bundle called Zoom One, which is sort of like our enterprise licensing agreement equivalent bundle. And so when you talked about, right, some customers are stuck on Cisco and Microsoft, I would say challenge them to look at our Zoom One bundle total cost of ownership. And you will be shocked to find how many features and functionality are included in that price at no cost, where there's an add-on and an add-on and an add-on with some of our competitors.
Right. Yeah, I think for me looking as a differentiator, obviously there are a couple more things like the AI strategy that you have, and how it's not just an AI that fails, right? It's a good quality AI results that you see. It's not everybody's saying AI, but the quality is not there. So I've seen that myself, that AI is very good deployed within the product itself. And I think as far as the licensing is concerned, it's very consolidated. I feel that the licensing cost is thought from a user perspective, not from a company, like not from selling perspective. You're thinking about a user and thinking that this user in this license would need so many things. So I can't sell a la carte some of the things and sell it separately to make money. So I think that approach, the human approach, or you're thinking about the companies you're operating with. You're not thinking about yourself. I think that thought process is missing in a lot of the competitors, which I feel. And
Exactly.
And I think from a I think and with this point, there is that return on investment also. I've seen public case studies where you're compared with Microsoft cost of ownership. And if you can just maybe couple of 1 minute on how do you calculate, like how do you measure the return on investment? Because if I've seen customers still using or adamant to use Microsoft even though it's costlier, and they don't realize the value they are losing without Zoom. So how do you measure that? And how would you, if somebody is looking at this podcast, and what they should take away as a message when calculating that ROI?
Yeah, and let me just share a few slides here that will just sort of round off this messaging. So first, I want actually people to realize is that there are a lot of AI features that Zoom has had even prior to AI Companion, and this is just a snapshot of a few of them. And so when I said things included at no charge, right? AI Companion with composition of chat messages, email messages, summarizing the meetings, next steps, retrieval, highlights. Even things like we're going to include within Zoom Contact Center some of the AI features at no charge, such as sentiment of the customer, talk speed of the customer, next steps. All of those are going to be included at no cost. People don't realize that we have an exhaustive portfolio around Zoom Spaces and Zoom Rooms. So we've been doing AI in Zoom Rooms for a long time. And when people think of AI, they always think of chat and messaging and image generation and things like that. But what people don't realize is adaptive codecs, noise cancellation, smart gallery. So we have this amazing feature called Intelligent Director, which doesn't exist with any of our competitors and has been there for the last 7 months almost. It's about 3 cameras, which you can see in this picture at 3 different angles, that is figuring out the best view of the room and sending one single feed over to the cloud for the remote participants. And why that's amazing is because I remember setting up these room systems. Not only were they super expensive back in the day, but it requires some heavy programming from AV expert engineers, right? Presets and all that, preset 1, preset 2. But think about AI. Forget presets. It's going to figure out the right view to send to the remote participant. And by the way, we're going to open this up to work on Windows machines or Mac machines or with third-party partners. We have even things called smart suggestions, which allows you to reserve a desk, book a desk. Like, for example, if Ronak comes into the office and he's a part of engineering and he's very new to the London office, he doesn't usually work over there, but some of his colleagues from engineering work in that office. Instead of giving him a blank canvas to pick a desk, it'll actually suggest a desk based on who he interacts with the most so that he can sit next to them and communicate and collaborate. So we have all of these different things. And with Zoom Virtual Agent, a lot of people don't know is we acquired a company called Solvi. And Solvi gives us the technology for Zoom Virtual Agent. So we do have a bot strategy. We have things like automate intent detection and sentiment scoring and topic modeling and so on. So there's a lot of AI features that we have included at no cost within all of our different modalities. And I want people to realize that we've been a leader in AI and LLM models. To your point about total cost of ownership, what I wanted to focus on over here is that a lot of people, focus on just a bill of materials, right? They just look at a cost of a hardware or a cost for a software. And what we often say is, again, as I said, dig deeper into the layers of the onion and peel open the layers. We talked about the AI already. That's one part of it, right? There's implementation and training costs. There's the admin portal, which is simple, easy to manage. No custom scripting, no PowerShell scripts, no having to, jump between an AD exchange, resource mailbox account, back again to the phone account, so on and so forth. And then, of course, training your end users and the annual recurring management costs, right? That goes with it, right? So I like to bring up a few slides here, right? We have done a lot of studies with Metrigy, with Forrester, with Gallup. All of these studies are publicly available. And you can see some of the numbers, right, that we have brought up. This is what we mean as total cost of ownership, which is that licensing is one aspect of it, but you have to talk about the saving in productivity. You have to talk about the fact that now both your agents and your back office people are using the same client. So we have this amazing feature in Zoom Contact Center where essentially when you transfer the call to Zoom Phone, because you will have back office people. So think about a billing scenario where, I'm going to just role play here. Ronak is very irritable because he's had some, payment problems with his company. And when he's transferred to the billing support queue, what happens these days? Generally, it stops to the billing queue and they cannot transfer the call out of the contact center to a back office person, right? But what if there's a back office person who wants to be on Zoom Phone? Well, most people today just handle that call over the PSTN, but they don't send any data with the call. So today we have this feature where because we're on one platform, we can actually send data about Ronak. What is his account information? What is his status with the company? So on and so forth. And when we transfer the call from contact center to Zoom Phone, they will actually see that in the Zoom Phone client. So they get the context about the caller. So this is why being on one platform, one single code base, one single administration interface is important. The other thing I wanted to point out about here is this 68% number. So when Zoom Virtual Agent, we have a metric in the industry called self-service rate, which is used by a lot of the companies that sell bots. And this is very important because when you look at the cost of an agent, when the cost of training, costing of onboarding them and supporting them, that's a lot of cost to the company. But we want our agents to be focused on extremely complex use cases, not simple ones. So how do we offload that to a virtual agent? Because number one, it is less time wasted by the human being on repeated transactional stuff. But number two is, it's also deflecting a lot of the calls from the voice channel over to the web chat or the video channel. And why is that important? It's because then you're not spending minutes. When you're not spending minutes on those telephone lines, on those toll numbers, on those toll-free numbers, that's savings for an organization.
Yeah.
So by having an average self-service rate of about 68% with Zoom Virtual Agent, what we're telling our customers is now you can right-size your contact center with more skilled agents that can handle more advanced interactions and let the simple, repeatable transactions be handled by the virtual agent. Now, so when you look at a vendor, right, we often say, right, measure your vendor across all of these different platforms, right? Are they security conscious? Do they have an AI strategy? Are they nickel and diming you for features?
Yeah.
Do they have truly a single pane of glass? And what I mean by single pane of glass is not just voice and video, not just chat and contact center, but even employee experience and mail and calendar and your document strategy, so on and so forth. Are they agile? Are they innovating fast enough? And do they only play nice within themselves, or do they integrate, as I mentioned before, with SDKs, line of business apps, and so on? You asked about the Microsoft total cost of ownership, and I think this is a very important slide that we want to bring up over here. So we have done some analysis in the industry, and we used a sample use case here of 100 users, 5 conference rooms, a couple of common area. And this is all publicly available pricing. So obviously, we're not taking any discounts here into the picture.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that you're aware with a bundle like Zoom One Enterprise Plus, we are including a litany of features: translations, summaries, AI companion, Zoom rooms, SIP ports, HA23 ports, digital signage, workplace reservation, even common area phones at no cost. So if you were to buy 50 licenses of Zoom One Enterprise Plus, you are going to get all of these at a 1:1 ratio. And when you compare it with some of Microsoft licensing, first of all, the complexity associated with that licensing, but then there is a Teams Premium license, there's a Copilot license, there is a common area license, there is a room license. And oh, by the way, in order to be eligible for Copilot, something that I don't know if a lot of people are aware, you have to upgrade your O365 plan to an M365 plan. Yeah. And you need to be a minimum of 300 users and above. So that means you're almost saying that AI is not suited for the smaller companies. But to be honest, we want to believe in what we are very passionate about one thing, and that is called the democratization of technology, which means we want to be giving technology to anybody and everybody, right? Anybody should be benefiting from it. And our AI technologies start with even Zoom One Pro that can be sold from one user and above. So we don't want to say that AI is only the kingdom of the biggest companies in the world and only they can benefit from it. By using our federated model, we have brought it down and made it available to all the different sizes of customers. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of some of the different
I think this is amazing, and as always, and I feel and we have discussed this in the past as well, I feel Zoom has done bad to itself in marketing. There is so much out there, but few people know about it, and I think these kind of sessions hopefully can bring some light to some of these materials and some of these things, so that people do realize that. And I personally I believe that after seeing so many artifacts and reading so many things, and obviously I've been in the industry working with Microsoft Teams and Cisco, and so I've seen the value. It's just that I think it's about time that the capability and the number of users on Zoom will explode, because now Zoom has realized in terms of having a proper partner team and partner channel and focusing on the partners. Before it was little less, as far as my experience also goes.
Exactly. And I mean, again, when we started this podcast, this is when you asked me about what Zoom is all about, and
I wanted to ask you to show the wheel, but
yes, absolutely. And I think now it's sort of will come together as to what I was saying is that if you look at our new positioning statement, right, we were not doing justice to all, as you said, all the applications that were within our portfolio. So again, to spend a few minutes on this, what we just want our customers and our partners to be passionate about is that we were focused on this part, right? Meetings. That's it. People knew us for meetings, and you can probably put in webinars in that too.
Yeah.
But if you look past that, right? Zoom Team Chat is another area. Like we often forget, we've all thought of chat as free. There's nothing much left in there, but people are still looking at Slack and they're paying for chat. And there's a lot of customers who are coming to Zoom Team Chat and saying, wow, chat is built into your licensing. It is of no cost. Even your free licensing gets chat. And oh, by the way, you built in AI features inside of chat. You can build Team Chat apps also, or bots that can integrate to Zoom Team Chat. By the way, Team Chat integrates with meetings, which means that after a meeting, all the files that you've shared, all the messages that you've shared will be put inside of a chat channel so that you can continue the interaction. Should we call it before the meeting, during the meeting, after the meeting? All of that workflow is consolidated together. The other thing that I want to tell you about is we have an application even called Scheduler, which allows you to book, one of the frustrating points is when you have to book appointments with people outside the company. So think about, education scenarios, medical scenarios, virtual appointments, bookings, tutoring classes. I mean, so many use cases. We give you the capability to book a Zoom meeting, Zoom phone call using Scheduler that's built into our application. But if you look on the right-hand side, right, this is where I think truly a partner can add value at customers, is that there are horizontal use cases: marketing, sales, customer service, revenue generation, so on and so forth. We have an amazing product called Zoom Events, which is sometimes our best guarded secret. Zoom Events actually is the engine that powered Zoomtopia. But what Zoom Events is it takes webinars and meetings to the next level. It allows you to set up things like an event hub, allows you to set up ticketing for different type of sessions. Think of it like as if you went to a conference center, but you did the whole thing virtually. But now we're even doing this in a hybrid scenario, which means you can even do things like badge scanning, printing. You can have people on site interact with Zoom events, but without the audio and the video because they're physically present. And then people virtually can get the audio and video. We even have things like a virtual expo hall, which means you can have sponsors set up like expo sessions. Zoom Revenue Accelerator is for sales use cases, revenue generation employees that can analyze the meetings, integrate with CRM, look at speed, sentiment, next steps, and so on. We have already talked about contact center. And by the way, if you don't know this, we have our own quality management, workforce management product, but we also integrate with the likes of Verint, Alivio, Calabrio, Success KPI, Assembled, Observe AI, and Cresta, many others in the contact center industry. And then we talked about WorkVivo, which is employee experience. We have Zoom Rooms, workplace reservation and signage. And then finally, we're building a core set of apps. So we have Zoom Whiteboard. So instead of paying for a Miro or a Lucid or a third-party app, we have Whiteboard embedded within a meeting and outside of a meeting, and even with the Zoom Room. So you can have a Zoom Rooms for touch, Whiteboard, scan the whiteboard with the QR code and save it. And we're also building clips that allows you to record short video messages and share it. And then we have also announced a new exciting edition called Zoom Docs. So think of this as more for those wikis, sort of like a replacement to Coda or Notion that we're going to be releasing. Now, why is this all important, right? The reason why this is all important is because a person can live in different aspects of an application during the day. Some will live in a chat, some will live in a doc, some will live inside of a webinar in a meeting, some will live inside of a contact center. But only a true platform vendor that can stitch this message end to end, coupled with AI security and analytics, can unlock that human potential. And this is why I believe that whenever you pick the next vendor, make sure they can stitch the end-to-end story.
Right. And again, every day when I wake up, I think about the same thing, because in my own day-to-day working life, if I am working on a document versus I'm in a meeting, there are meeting notes, then I'm using, let's say, OneNote for some tasks, Microsoft tasks, nothing is integrated. So if tomorrow I go into a meeting on the same topic, I don't know where to look for data. I waste a lot of my time. And every day when I think about this, I try and search for solutions that can tie my day end to end, because it saves a lot of time for me and productivity, because I waste a lot of, I get stressed out because I'm unable to find what I'm looking for, and I'm into a meeting and I don't know what to say because my notes are not there in front of me. I don't have summary. I have to copy paste manual bits here and there. It's a waste of time. So I think that definitely, no, I don't know if people realize this or not, but flow of work is so important. And if it is tied up and AI is put on top of it, it'll make your life so easy.
Exactly. And I think truly that's why I'm most excited about, like I said, I've given 25 years of my life to this industry, and I wouldn't swap it for any other industry. And the reason is because no offense to my friends who work in networking, security, and data center. I know their jobs are very special, but I always used to have this joke, and this is a lesson that I learned many years back, is I used to say that if the routers and the switches and the servers in the data center are blinking and operating fine, nobody cares because the end users don't see it. But we live in an industry that is very unique and very different. It affects the end user because every one of our applications is in front of the end user. So making a human being happy, taking their workflow into account, their style of working is very difficult. Because every one of us is unique, every one of us is different, and every industry is different. So this is why I truly believe that, Ronak, we are at an inflection point in the industry where we've been talking telephony, then we talked communications collaboration, then we called it unified communications, then we called it whatever you want to call it, total experience, employee experience. But I truly believe this is where now AI sitting on top of that is going to solve that puzzle for us, because bringing the right document, that right information at the right time is what's going to make us unleash that human productivity.
Right. No, and I absolutely agree with you on this one. And I feel this is the time when Zoom will at least the users using Zoom, and I think you'll see you have put in the heartbeat, you have put in the efforts already in the past 6-7 years or whatever. I think this is the time to capitalize, and I feel that Zoom will end up being a bigger platform than what you are today. At least that's what I see, and especially people, and I feel that even the community has started speaking about this. There are so many like myself, and there are so many others who are bringing up creating Zoom blogs or creating podcasts or videos just on Zoom, which definitely will propel the pace of the growth that you have today.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to share, like, for example, with our work that we're doing with WorkVivo, this is an evolution for us. So this is just the starting point. But to just what you said, right? I think people are tired of going to too many portals and too many places. And so what WorkVivo can actually do is integrate with Microsoft tools. So we've talked a lot about, why us against Microsoft, but I want people to realize that we can also integrate with them. So we realize that there's a lot of customers out there who are not going to move away from their Microsoft tools. So whether it is OneDrive, whether it is SharePoint, whether it is Outlook, whether it's Exchange, we do have the capability to integrate with them.
Right.
Zoom Team Chat can integrate with OneDrive and SharePoint and Microsoft Docs for co-editing. Zoom Phone can integrate with Azure AD for importing the users. We support single sign-on and SCIM and everything with that. And then WorkVivo, as an example, can actually integrate with SharePoint and OneDrive. So why is this important? Is because now what I can do is I can search across all these different applications. I can stay in one place no matter where my data is. And once we put AI on top of WorkVivo, that's where I'm going to be really excited about in the future. Because coming back to your use case, I did a demo, I stored a file, and I need to bring that file up at the right time in a meeting when I'm with the customers, when I'm analyzing the sentiment or the words. This is what I really want to unleash the human productivity. We're not there yet, but I truly believe that we have all the pieces of the puzzle, because we own the content management system, we own the docs, we have integration with other people's docs, we also own the phone, the meetings, and virtual agent. It's just a matter of now AI dipping into all of these sources and pulling this information out. So this is why I'm super excited about the next.
I'm very excited for Zoom as well, and I think I feel so happy that you are also so much excited in explaining the future and what's going to happen at Zoom. And I think that's why Zoom is growing, because the people working at Zoom like yourselves are very passionate about the work. It's not a day-to-day activity. You really want to do something different for the customers. Okay, so I mean I would just maybe 1 or 2 minutes and quickly wrap this off. So because we've seen that Zoom Zoom had a stupendous or tremendous growth after COVID or during COVID, but there are still again I'm not after Zoom versus Microsoft versus Cisco for sure, but if I were to ask you, because there is a lot of Microsoft, Cisco, and legacy out there, how do you whoever is listening, how do you want them to position Zoom, and how do you want them to think when they are talking to their customers? uh, just take a look at Zoom. Like, what would you tell them?
Well, first of all, I mean, I would say anytime you think about any communications collaborations project, just give us a fair shot. I think a lot of this, as you said, is information is lacking, and not understood. Again, unfortunately, COVID was a great thing from a Zoom growth perspective, but then you got attached to the meetings tag. And I think people still think in their back of their head that when we think meetings, we'll think of Zoom, but we won't think of them as a communications collaborations company. And I think hopefully if you got nothing out of the podcast, it's that one thing, which is that this is a platform, right? You have the end-to-end story from a communications perspective. So I just ask our customers that anytime you're in a migration journey, whether it is just one modality, which could be just phone, it could be just an events play, it could be just a contact center play, think of Zoom. Because you don't have to do the whole platform with us. Obviously, that gives you the best value and the amplification of all the benefits of unified communications. But if you can just look at your migration journeys, when you look at your rip and replace of your on-premise systems, like you said, mergers and acquisitions. By the way, something that's very exciting for me, because I'm originally from India, is that Zoom Phone is fully available in India as of the last couple of months. And there are a lot of customers are looking at that also as a method to say, hey, we know that the Indian telecom system is highly regulated and is one of the toughest markets to get a license and grow. There are a lot of regulations that you have to be compliant with. And I know that there's a lot of competitors who have jerry-rigged their solutions to make it available, but it comes at a tremendous cost and complexity. And Zoom Phone is fully certified with the universal license in India and can provide services in multiple telco circles. So you can be looking at just one part of your business unit that you've acquired. And you might say, hey, I want to test out Zoom Phone in that account, or Zoom Contact Center. I also want to bring up another important point, video. So we all know that Zoom is synonymous with video. We talked about the video SDK. We talked about meetings. But did you also know that when we introduced Contact Center, one of the first channels of communication, along with voice chat and SMS, that we natively built into our platform that many of our competitors don't have is video. So you might be scratching your head as to why would anybody think of video in a contact center? But that's the disruption. Think about how many calls you've had frustrated on voice chat and SMS because you're explaining a complex problem to a call center agent and they just don't have the capability to communicate, share, empathize, and so on. What if with a click of a button, I could escalate that call to video? So Zoom Contact Center has video natively built in with the capability to share and record. So think about a telehealth scenario, financial banking scenario, retail scenario, where you can embed video in your websites, kiosks, and so on. So I would say, hopefully what I've given you is some keywords, some trigger points to think of Zoom in your conversations with your customers. And when your customers are also asking you these questions, is just invite Zoom to the table and allow them to do a demonstration, allow them to do a proof of concept. And then, as they say, let the best vendor win. We're confident behind our technology and our capabilities to feel that we can win that scenario.
Of course. I mean, and I would testify that, and I would say that, it is true, because I mean, I obviously for work, I use something else, but anything to do, any personal work that I want to do, I would straight away go to Zoom because of the capabilities, and more than the capabilities, it's the ease of use. I can just spin up a video session. I don't have to have my laptop. I can just use my phone. And then there are so many other things that come with it. So I think that way it's, but like you said, I would also say that we have at least started giving a shot to Zoom and some of the opportunities to see if it makes sense. And I've been an advocate myself, not just at work, but outside work as well. I play cricket at a club, and I've already told them that I think they don't use Zoom, but I told them let's start using Zoom meetings because they don't have any meeting platform. And so I think I've become an advocate myself after seeing the capabilities, innovation, after especially talking to you, because you come with a lot of experience and passion. And so, but I think today, Srini, it was again, whenever I speak to you, I just love it because so much passion you have for this industry.
I want to say a point there. You said something very important, right? You said that, I use it in my personal life, but my corporate world uses a different technology, right? We often find in our customers that the corporate technology might be another vendor, but when it comes to sales, marketing, HR, anything that is external facing, customer facing, the best messaging we've always heard is, oh, we always use Zoom because the quality is great, the experience is great.
Okay.
Now, I often ask, why do other people then put up with substandard technology? Why do we do that, right? One of the best stories that I have is when Apple came out with their iPhone many years back. They changed the paradigm of a mobile device. And before that, there was another vendor that I think everybody knows. It started with a B in the front, BlackBerries. And they took that same stance. They said, we're corporate standards, we're enterprise class, and look at that, that's a consumer device. But we all know consumers won, and they brought the technology back to the enterprise and made the enterprise IT person change their strategy. I think we're in the same way with Zoom. Zoom is loved by consumers. Zoom is loved because of the ease of use. You don't change accounts, logins, passwords, and so on. It's simple and quick. It's up to us now to bring that same ease of use of technology to the enterprise side. And also, I'll leave you with one thing. I'm even now shocked to find some customers say, but I heard something with Zoom is not secure.
Yeah.
And that often gives me a chuckle because we have an entire team that is dedicated to Zoom security. So not only do we have all the ISO certifications and the compliance with GDPR regulations, with storing data, recordings, voicemail transcripts in data centers all over the world, supporting all the encryption standards. Please take a look at our Zoom security and attestations website. But we also have a phenomenal technology called CMK, Customer Managed Key. And what this does is it allows a customer to bring their own encryption key and encrypt their recordings and voicemail so that nobody else can decrypt it, including Zoom. We can talk a lot about that, but for the most security conscious organization in the world, we have that too. So we are best in class from a consumer standpoint, but never forget the fact that we also have that enterprise grade security and AI to bring it inside of the corporate sectors. So it's up to us to make that happen.
Yeah, of course. And again, we can, I think we can spend the whole day talking about Zoom and Zoom capabilities, and that time will also be less because Zoom has done so much, and definitely. But I think I would say thank you, Srini, again. You've been a great friend, and I think the best thing I love about you is the passion that you bring and the way you speak, and also the quality of content that you come up with. It's always amazing. So I would say thank you, Srini. Thank you for taking out the time today. Hopefully after this, if anybody wants to contact publicly, they can always do that. And maybe if you can give your details, or I'll just tag your LinkedIn profile so that if anybody has any questions, or at least I just want to put out the Zoom message out that it's an amazing platform. People are amazing who work for Zoom. I think Zoom deserves a fair shot at all the opportunities that other OEMs are bidding at.
And I want to just end this podcast by saying thank you, Ronak, for giving me this opportunity. I often say that you have a choice of vendors also to look at. There's a lot of people in this space. It's also a crowded market. But having said that, the fact that you gave me the time of the day to come and present and share my thoughts means a lot to me. And I'm just hoping that this is one of many such interactions that we can have in the future. So thanks again.
And of course, I will definitely plan detailed because you can't cover everything in 50 minutes or 1 hour. So I will plan something in the future. But really appreciate Srini today.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to leave by saying. I know the amazing work you did with writing that very exhaustive Zoom One podcast. Zoom One blog with all its capabilities. So that's a great document that you should read after this session, because it'll give you a lot more details about all the points that we just said.
Thank you, Srini.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks again, Srini. You have a good day.
Bye.